Of the thousands of patients that I've seen with back pain, each story, just like yours, is unique and different. But what their spines look like, they're not. I'm going to let you in on a secret. In clinic, we see the same 3 patterns each week. And once you recognize yours, the pain stops feeling random and you can start to get it under control once and for all. I'm not sure if you've ever been on the receiving end of a one-size-fits-all approach to your own health. If you have, you know it sucks. Cookie cutter healthcare is lazy. Even though one person may have the same diagnosis, they should be given individualized treatment because everyone is a different person. Different backs also need some form of different sequencing, and what helps one person may actually flare up another, not because it's wrong, but because it's wrong for that person's pattern. So let's look at these patterns, see which one fits you the most, and at the end of this video, I'll share with you our next step for addressing these patterns. The first pattern that we see is the stiff or locked up back. Now this usually sounds like, wake up in the morning, super stiff, can't move. Sitting makes it worse. I loosen up once and once I get moving, I'm great. It's just been stiff for as long as I can remember. Now this pattern is usually driven by a loss of normal segmental joint motion. Now this means that the individual joints of the spine have lost their normal ability to move in their full range of healthy movement. So the joints, they're not gliding well, and as a result, muscles will come in to tighten up and protect that area. This then creates more stiffness, which leads to more tightness and protection. Now movement feels good because it restores some of that neurological input that's been generated by movement to help the brain see what's going on. This then leads to muscles relaxing, things feeling looser. Stillness feels bad because stiffness builds more stiffness and then the cycle repeats. The key takeaway here is that your back isn't fragile, it's undermoved. And this leads to a sensation of a brittle stiffness. The second pattern is the flare-up cycle. Now this back sounds like, it'll be fine, and then out of nowhere, it's not. One wrong move sets it off, or I just have to be really careful because I don't trust it. Now this pattern usually means that the system never fully resets. The body adapts around that problem, builds enough capacity to take the pressure off, but only just a little bit, and it doesn't really ever fully resolve back to full function. And it's almost like it's operating on a knife edge, and one little bump can push it over the edge. Sometimes it's a sneeze, sometimes it's bending to pick up a pen. Sometimes people just wake up and their back goes out on them. Now the problem here is that people can often get away with a spine that's on the limit day to day. Sometimes even not even having any symptoms. But when that load increases, that capacity isn't there to deal with it. So life then pushes that system just past the tolerance and bang, you have a flare up. This requires a reframing of the problem. The flare-up isn't the injury, it's actually the system saying, hey, I've run out of tricks to keep adapting to this problem that you just keep ignoring and it's not going away. The third pattern we see is what we call the disc fear back. Now this one sounds like being told that you've got a bad disc, or the MRI from 8 years ago says, I've got 3 slipped discs. I get leg pain, sharp pain, I avoid bending because I'm scared. This pattern is often driven as much by fear of an injury as by actual mechanical irritation. Yes, nerves and discs can be irritated, but that doesn't mean your spine is fragile to the point that it won't heal or become stronger. Avoidance leads to more guarding. More guarding leads to less motion. And then, of course, less motion keeps everything irritated. And then to top this off, fear amplifies our pain response. It triggers our brain to feel more pain even if something isn't likely to cause a real injury. Now this avoidance of movement leads to deconditioning and eventually leads to occurrence of the problem. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. You are so scared of hurting it that you don't move enough that then leads to you actually hurting it. It's important to know that most disc-related pain is transient. It's not permanent damage. In my opinion, this is where health professionals let their patients down. They find one exercise, one stretch, one routine, and then they try and apply this to every back they ever come across. But as we've said, different patterns need a different approach. Stiff backs need motion first. Flare-up backs need consistency and capacity building. Disc fear backs need reassurance and graded movement. Once you can work out what your pattern is, two things happen. First of all, fear drops. The second thing is you stop guessing. There's no need for any more random fixes or expensive gadgets. You can start to work on that system that's going to work for you. If one of these patterns sounded like you, it's not a coincidence. That's exactly why assessment matters. Not to label you, but to understand how your back behaves. If you want help figuring out your pattern and what order things need to happen in, start with our back pain resources. I'll put a link in the description below. That's where we lay out the full framework clearly, without any pressure, without any hype.